For years, I had one goal, and that was to be able to grow my gaming channel, to acquire freedom for my family, and especially my mother, who would come home from work every day exhausted with pain in her back, her legs, and feet that were swollen from standing and working for so long. And after I achieved that goal of retiring my mother, I felt stuck. And unironically, once I started moving away from the thing that kept me stuck, my business ended up growing. You see, when I was a young kid, I always wanted to grow a gaming channel. I've played video games essentially my whole life. And so I just watched PewDiePie, for example. He was my main motivator. I would watch PewDiePie and his horror games, Happy Wheels, all of that shenanigans. And when I was growing up, I was sitting in my room playing games, but every time my mother would come home from work, I would pause whatever I was doing, even if I was in an important session in a dungeon in World of Warcraft, even if it was important. I went down the stairs, I hugged my mother, I told her I loved her, took off her jacket while she was struggling to take off her shoes, and I told her directly, "Mommy, one day I will become so rich you will never have to work again, I promise you." And from there on out, I decided to just go all in on YouTube. However, after years of trying and failing, dropping out of high school to do it, eventually I achieved my success. I went from just $0 to $10,000 in a little over a year. And after doing that for years and having retired my mother, I quickly realized that I was doing the same thing day in and day out. My ideas were getting stale. The format that allowed me to really grow as a YouTuber was the one format that kept me stuck. And so I was repeating the same thing. My audience was also complaining a little bit that I was just doing the same thing over and over. And so for like 2-3 years, from 2023 to late 2025, I was just waking up, going to the gym, working, and then I would watch YouTube shorts, I would procrastinate, I would lay in bed, I would watch movies. After I was done with my deadline for the videos, I would just procrastinate until the end when I really had to work on the next video. So it's just living to exist. But I was content because my mother was happy, my family, they're fine, they have freedom, so I'm not going to take any risks, I'm not going to expand, I'm not going to change. As long as I continue to have the channel stable, then the channel will, then, everything is fine. I mean, as long as my mother's fine. However, one thing that happened was I got into my first relationship, and during that period, it was my first relationship, so I was the happiest, but at the same time, my business started to do worse. It actually hit a point where it went down from the peak was around $20,000 a month in 2024 to about $6,000 in mid 2025. And so I literally had not a panic attack, but I think I started to cry actually. Maybe I had a panic attack because I could see the channel just absolutely not plummeting, but how would I improve the situation? My mother's freedom was threatened, and it was a full business now. I needed it to grow again. So okay, I did what most people do when they see that. I started to work harder. I re-uploaded some videos actually, which was a bit iffy, but it worked, and the channel just went back up to baseline. And I'm like, okay, No, now I'm back in the same position I was before. I didn't know I was stuck, but in reality I was stuck. I moved back to baseline and then continued. However, one thing that I realized is, as I was going through the relationship and as it ended, I realized just how stuck I was with my work especially, and also in life. I wasn't changing, I wasn't taking risks. And that was mostly because things were good enough for me to want to continue it, but it wasn't bad enough for me to want to change anything. I mean, I can just do this for years. However, then I realized that, am I going to do this for 10 more years, just the same thing over and over? Am I really going to just continue to let myself never change, live the same day in and day out, day in, day out? And most people, I think, would have been fine with that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I wasn't really feeling true to myself. And so once I went through the breakup, that made me really think about where I was, especially with the work. And so I thought that, okay, what if I make $100,000 a month instead? Instead of just making $10,000 a month, I will try to aim for $100,000. And so what ended up happening was, I wrote it down, and then I wrote down things to achieve it. So, okay, now I need to become the millionaire version of myself. So I need to start reading. I never used to read a single book before I was 20, because now that I wanted to become a millionaire, I needed to improve my communications. I thought, okay, maybe if I start an AI business or something, but I need to become the millionaire version of myself. So I started to read. I started to play the piano consistently after not playing the piano for months. So just every day for a short period of time, I would do it, as long as I had the habit of every day continuing to show up. And I gymmed consistently. I went out for walks again. I stopped watching YouTube Shorts because my millionaire version would not do that. And so I never thought that this goal would allow me to change and such, but the biggest thing that I did was I took a risk. It wasn't really a risk, because I just started up a channel about helping gaming YouTubers grow. And previously, when I wanted to start up a new business, when I was stuck, I would start it up and then I would delete the channel once it did well, or after a few weeks, because I didn't want to spend time away from my gaming channel. I didn't want to take time away from what was working. I wanted to take no risks. However, now I'm 4 months in with my gaming growth channel. And one thing that I've realized is that my whole life has really changed. So then after I started improving my communication skills and my storytelling skills and my ideas were getting better overall. My creativity expanded just from reading books and going for walks and exercising and not watching YouTube Shorts. And so actually my gaming channel ended up doing better now. My goal was not to improve the gaming channel, my goal was to do something else, and yet when I improved as a person, and I didn't really care about the outcome of the gaming channel, I'm spending less time on my gaming channel than ever, and yet last month it made $16,000. So I don't know how I could have ever anticipated this, but if it comes to most works, improving the mindset actually improves your work. And I don't think it's necessarily the other way around, as good as it is to improve the mind and then the work follows. Because now I just had a broader spectrum. Now I could see things more clear, what would work and what would not work. So the thing is that, unironically, my gaming channel was like a runway for me and my other businesses to be able to fly. And I think it's a very wonderful thing that I'm able to just do what I want now without worrying about what will happen to my gaming channel and only relying, because that was my only income source. Actually, it's still only my income source. I still haven't made any money from my other businesses, but I just know it will come. I could, of course, scrap all of it now that my mindset has changed and just work 12 hours a day on my gaming channel, and then maybe I can make $20,000 to $25,000 a month. But the amount of leverage that I have now with the knowledge and everything, now that I feel more true to myself and such, it's just like the gaming channel. The other businesses will compound like this and then go up. And in the long term, the gaming channel will actually be, I think, my least earning revenue source, and my other businesses more so, because the gaming channel is still just time for money at the most, and there's a limited audience. And to become a millionaire, I needed to change as a person, and I also needed to become unstuck from who I was. And just from setting the goal, such an absurd goal, and changing my identity, I got unstuck, which actually improved the business of the gaming channel, improved all areas of my life, and in the end, really made me. I'm like a free bird now, like the plane. I'm like a plane. I'm not on the runway, stuck on the ground. I can fly like a bird. And that's the best part. Anyways, I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and you must stay blessed by the best. I will see you in the next one.